facts and opinions, we're gonna talk about Killer Mike and the NRA. For a lot of y'all that don't know what the NRA is, it's the National Rifle Association. What was the name of the rally that they had?
March for Our Lives.
March for Our Lives. So they posted the video the same day that the March for Our Lives rally took place. Killer Mike basically, I mean, to sum it up for you or simplify it for you, he basically seemed like the pawn. He basically was saying that he basically believed, he stood behind the NRA and believing that there shouldn't be stricter gun laws because that's what they stand for. And that basically, in a sense, that pretty much anybody in the U.S. is entitled to have a firearm.
Okay. Let's start from the beginning, because the NRA gets on my nerves with this bullshit.
Okay.
So the NRA initially, like the whole thing about the NRA is initially they started out. So I looked up the beginnings because I've had my reasons, because I've lived a long time.
Like the 1930s and all that?
Yeah, like, yeah. I mean,
okay.
I've had my assumptions about what they stood for just because of the way they present themselves to the world. And, you know, it's kind of... So the NRA, and this is why I feel the way I feel.
Okay.
It was founded in 1871. Now, when we first started doing this show, we always told y'all about the Civil War and how basically the Civil War shaped basically everything that we're still experiencing now, whether it be slavery, the North, the South, the laws and state laws and blah, blah, blah. So the NRA was founded by two Union Civil War veterans. So you remember the Union, the North, the Confederacy was the South. And a former New York Times reporter in 1871. Its purpose was to help improve marksmanship of urban Northerners whose inferiority to the superior marksmanship of their rural Southern counterparts. So basically, you know, like we were saying how the South, they were outgunning the North because the people in the South had already been using guns, and that was just something that they did in the South. And because when slavery was going on, that's how they overpowered the slaves, because they had guns. So the NRA, that's how it started. So during that time, the Second Amendment was not their central platform. And this is what I mean about them. They go back and forth about what they're standing on, their grounds for why they're so passionate about the Second Amendment. Okay. So the NRA's national headquarters, what their motto was: firearm safety, education, marksmanship training, shooting for recreation. That's what they initially stood on. Okay. So in the 1920s, some other shit went on. Most of the states were starting to permit people to carry them as long as they had a license, right? Okay. Then, fast forward, 1963, John F. Kennedy got assassinated, and he shot him with an Italian military surplus purchased from an NRA mail order advertisement. Okay, so now they want to regulate how you can buy guns, right? So it just went on from there, because every time something happened, then after the Civil Rights Movement, when the Black Panthers came out with their guns and they marched down in Oakland to the city hall with their guns out to a city council meeting, now the NRA is saying, okay, they got stricter and stricter and stricter.
So they're basically being biased at this point.
Okay. Fast forward more, and we could go into details the more we talk or conversate, whatever, and look up some shit.
Go ahead and finish what you got to say, but I got some numbers for you.
More recently, the NRA has gotten into politics, and we talked about this on another episode, the donations that they were getting, what they were giving to senators from around the country, and we named them and how much they got. Also, recently, the NRA got busted for getting foreign donations from like other countries, the Russians, etc., etc., etc. So, with that being said, are you really standing up for the Second Amendment, or is it because you want to just run the country and run the laws and run the government? You know what I mean? Like, it can't be that you're just so pro Second Amendment when clearly you have an agenda to get money.
I agree.
So all that being said, we know this is who the NRA is. Killer Mike. Killer Mike said that when the March for Our Lives went on, he went on an NRA. The NRA has an internet show, and he was a guest on there, and he said, when asked about March for Your Lives or whatever. No, they didn't ask him about that. They were just talking in general, and Killer Mike said that he told his children if they walk out for that, they should just walk out of his house. So people were kind of pissed off, like, why wouldn't you understand what these kids are saying, and why would you say that, blah, blah, blah. He since apologized. But he is a member of the NRA.
I don't think he should apologize. And the reason why I say I don't think he should apologize is the fact that's your opinion. That's how you feel. That's truly how you feel. Like, it's things that you agree with that I don't agree with. There's things that Jay Black agree with that I don't agree with. But we agree to disagree. If that's how you feel, if that's how you run your household, that's how you run your household.
I think people were disappointed in him because he's been so influential in like election of like Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Yeah.
He's a big advocate for black banking. So when we find somebody like that, we kind of just like, oh, we have somebody to believe in. But on this situation, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it that he's no longer running his own narrative? You think now that he's so popular, people use him to their benefit?
Exactly.
As like,
I mean, think about what he's done for the city of Atlanta and how he's spoken up to the black community. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's as powerful, but we don't have those figures no more. I don't even look at Al Sharpton as a civil rights leader. That's my opinion personally. But I mean, he's probably one of the best active people that we've had since a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't think, and I feel like that they're trying to. I mean, because of his star status, that they're trying to dampen his image.
No, I just think that he might say too much. Like, okay, you believe in gun ownership. I don't agree with the NRA at all. And him being a part of the NRA, like, I think that I would understand it more if he was a part of a black gun club or if he started a black gun club. I just don't think that. And it's his opinion, it's what he believes in, and he thinks that being a black NRA member is somehow like noble, but I just don't like what the NRA stands for. I think that being a gun owner, yes, absolutely, but as far as what the NRA stands for and how they're like bullying people, being a part of them, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that part.
They believe that we should have more guns in this country, and it's gonna make the country safer. Now let me bring up these numbers. 2015, more than 100 unarmed black men have died at the hands of police. This is just police. This not even, in civilization.
So when the Second Amendment was written, they weren't talking about the guns that we have now. Like, they had muskets back then.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think
that's what they would call it. They would call it muskets. You put the powder in there.
I mean, let's
take
just
like 2 minutes
keep it real. Like, they keep saying, oh, the Second Amendment, but nah, that's not what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. 2016, over 250 killed by police. 2017, more people were killed by police than the 161 black people that was lynched. 161 people in 1892 during the Jim Crow era.
Okay.
Then think about it. I know this is something that you wanted to talk about. Think about all that with the NRA and the kid, the man, Stephon Clark in Sacramento that just got killed. Then George Zimmerman just sold the murder weapon Trayvon Martin for $250,000. But you want more guns in America. The numbers don't lie. I mean, if we talking numbers and you talking about safety in America, is it true that having more guns is gonna make the country safer? Or is it gonna make y'all feel more superior when the time come, or when the black man finally step up?
So this is the thing. Okay, so the NRA in the 1920s, they were the National Revolver Association. It was an arm of the NRA responsible for handling handgun training. Proposed regulation later adopted by 9 states require a permit to carry concealed weapons. 5 years additional prison time if the gun was used in a crime, a ban on gun sales to non-citizens, and a 1-day waiting period before you can purchase it and get your receipt for the gun. So then in the 1930s, there was a crime spree, the Prohibition era. So then they wanted to, they still wanted to outlaw machine guns because the criminals had machine guns. So Franklin D. Roosevelt made gun control a feature in the New Deal. The NRA assisted Roosevelt in drafting the 1934 Firearm Act, in 1938 Gun Control Act, the first federal gun control laws. So it's like, you want certain people to be able to have the guns. And when other people get the guns, now you want to regulate the guns.
It's just black people. It's not certain people. It's just black people.
If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But just like Philando Castile, he's a licensed gun owner. And the police shot him because he had a gun. So,
but think about all these.
No, the NRA never said anything about that.
Though they want a lot of these people are unarmed that's getting killed by guns. A lot of them. Of course, they're not gonna say.
But these
who
people,
part of
the
NRA.
people that have the cops, when the Second Amendment first was written, remember the Constitution and all that was written for people that rebelled and ran from their country, from tyranny.
But this is my point. If we can't even trust police with guns, what make you think we gonna trust a regular U.S. citizen with a gun?
But wasn't the Second Amendment supposed to say if you wanted to rebel against the government, that you had a right to bear arms to rebel against the government? It wasn't about protecting you from each other. It wasn't about any of that. It was so that citizens have the right to bear arms against a tyranny. At that time, you have to be able to have the same rifles that the government has to protect yourself and your property. Yeah. But now they've got like stand your ground laws and blah blah blah, and it's always black people that get affected by those laws. So anyway, back to Killer Mike. They were dragging him because the NRA used that video the day after the March for Our Lives, and it looked like he was saying that he wasn't for that. He apologized, and so
it's going.
I want Killer Mike to represent a black gun club. You know what I mean? Or I want him to start another black gun club.
He do it with a black bank. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't. I think it's gonna tarnish his image on a corporate aspect. But I think within the black community though, I don't know. Because I don't think a lot of us are educated on what the NRA is. A lot of us don't even know what the NRA is. Because the NRA is always, they have their own following, and they pay millions and millions of dollars to senators. But you know, they only make up 6 or 7% of the people that own firearms in the U.S. anyway.
Who?
The NRA.
Yeah, but they are holding hands with the government. So when they make laws that will be for them.
True.